Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. I gotta sit there and say, this was actually a good episode. Even though not that much happened, this was a good episode. I want to start off with Kayla for a minute because here's the thing. When she came out and she told Steve, this isn't fair. Um, I got fired for not firing Marlena, and yet Craig refused to fire Marlena, and yet he still gets to keep his job. So he gets to keep his job, Marlena gets to keep her job, and yet I'm the one that gets fired. At one point she was so frustrated, she was like, you know what? Maybe I should just fire Marlena. And Steve was like, really? That's really how you feel? And of course she didn't feel like that, but she was frustrated. And I'm gonna be completely honest, this makes no sense on why isn't Craig not fired? But yet you fired her for doing the exact same thing. You fired her for refusing to fire Marlena, but you keep Craig because why? So that didn't really make a lot of sense. But then, Steve tries to do something to get her mind off of it as far as playing darts and saying that he's going to paint um, a bathroom a certain color or whatever. So they go through that whole thing. Now, I want to talk about Johnny and Chanel for a minute because I'm going to be completely honest. This is this is one of those things where it's like this needed to happen the way it did because it needed to catch people up on what's been going on. Because otherwise, this makes no sense. Okay, so Chanel, Johnny sees her and it's like, hey, listen, it wasn't me that was there doing all this. It wasn't me that was, dumped you and saying all this crazy stuff. This was the devil. Okay, this was the devil. The devil possessed me. And Chanel, here's the thing. They're doing this character a disservice by the way that she's acting. Because she's all like, what? No, I don't believe you. Why are you sitting there telling another one of your lies? Sweetheart, not that long ago, you saw the devil face to face, possessing Bella. So why the hell would you not even sit there and consider the fact that he was possessed not that long ago? So EJ's dad, which comes across as very stern and very serious, is like, no, it's true. He wasn't himself. Oh, I see you guys just lying or blah 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 blah. He faints, and then even after she goes and sees him, she's just like, it's like he has to sit there and try to explain the whole, well, I was possessed by the devil since, New Year's Eve and this, that, and the third. And then she's still like, so you didn't sit there and say all this? You didn't say all that? And I'm like, oh, like I'm losing some brain cells because, again, this has to happen for anyone that's new watching the show to be like, yo, what's going on? So this whole thing, this whole plot has to kind of be retold, which is why she's questioning him. And at one point, she's almost like she didn't believe him. But then she starts to believe him. And then, well, unfortunately, stupid just kind of carries on. This is after they catch everyone up. So now, Chanel's talking about, oh, yeah, what I did. I think, no, Johnny was like, oh, I forgive you about you and Allie. Really, bro? Really, bro? You really forgive for her for being with your sister? Because that's kind of a tall order. Oh, and I forgive you for a trip. Let me just get this straight. You're gonna forgive her for sleeping with your sister, and you're gonna also forgive her for sleeping with Trip. I know he didn't sleep with Trip, and they do explain that. But just the simple fact that he's like, yeah, I forgive you for all that. Yeah, I get it. It's a soap opera, but at some point, stuff got to start to make an ounce of sense, right? Now I know people can sit there and be like, well, technically it's supernatural and the devil possessing people. I'm like, whoa. Uh, I I believe that. I mean, not the show, but real life people being possessed by the devil, different entities. I 100% believe that because I have to sit there and look at it this way. Believe in God, believe in all the miracles that can happen. You can't sit there and say that you can't believe in that stuff. Okay, you can't believe in the higher power and not believe in that's there because of the other stuff. So I totally believe that. But at some point, like, bro, you just literally sat there and forgive this woman for doing two fouls on you. And yeah, I get it. You're possessed and you said some crazy stuff and she did what she did. But, at the end of the day, this wasn't you. And you could be understanding all you want, but at some point, like, there's only a certain amount of understanding that you can be before it's like becomes a little unbelievable, even for a soap opera. But anyway, he forgives her for transgressions because, reasons. Um, Wraith and EJ actually had a civil moment. Now, granted, like I always sit there and say, I'm late to the party. I know that those two got history, okay? But there's a point where EJ is mad at himself because he didn't recognize that he wasn't being him. He didn't recognize that Johnny wasn't being him. And, he confesses that he thought that Johnny always looked up to Rafe as opposed to him. Um, being ashamed that he was trying to be a Demero when in reality he was possessed. And he had to sit down and look at it like, what does that say about me? Getting advice from Rafe and even quote unquote, as you said, crying on his shoulder just seems like, on a normal day would be a joke, but, you know, um, you had to sit there and get real. And, Rafe was like, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess Rafe, like Johnny's also important to Rafe because, they had that whole love triangle thing that went on with Sammy and EJ and Rafe because, well, I wasn't there for that. So, um, yeah, the point is, Rafe was like, "Listen, it's not too late," And he just encourages him that it's not too late to sit there and move forward and be a better father and a better person to him. And okay, as much as a better person as he can be, but at least a better father to him. So that was cool. Um, At this point, Trick comes in there, and Trick was like, "Oh yeah, I got some stuff to tell you about Allie being possessed." And Steve was like, "Oh, there's a silver lining in all this." And I was like, "When you come back from this commercial, I really want to know where the silver lining is." And Steve was like, "No, no, no. That means that her cheating on you, it was the devil." Trick was like, "Nah, that stuff happened before the whole devil thing. So this is all on her." And she's she's still a POS. So you know, at that point, he went back to the hospital. They, I guess, have fun on their date or whatever, and that ends their story. Now, Jake wake up, and Ben is like, "Hey, devil got her, and it's Ali this, that, and the third." But Jake can't really remember. He was knocked unconscious. Ben is like, "I got an idea. Let's go to talk to Marlena and get you hypnotized." Now, Marlena was sitting there talking to Bella about all the crap that went on with Belle. I mean, with Sean and Jan Spears, because that's still a thing. Because you know, um, you know what? I was gonna sit there and try to be sarcastic and think of something funny, but I really have nothing in the tank, and I don't really like Jan Spears. But whatever. So they get down there to see Marlena, and Marlena hypnotized Jake. Now he's able to make out the fact that it was Ali that clocked him over the head, that Evans was there, um, but they didn't really get a location. What they did do was understand why Sierra was crying, and they realized that Jake was like, oh, you know what? When I was on the ground unconscious, and Ali went to go check my pulse, it was because the devil made me look like you. So that happened, but they're nowhere closer to sitting there finding where Sierra is. They don't even know where to start looking. Now Sierra is in a car with Ali and the devil, whatever. And of course, the devil wants to sit there and try to make sure she's more compliant because Sierra's like, oh, I gotta go back and Ben needs me, and like, technically to you, he's a corpse. So what exactly does he need is beyond me, but okay, sure. Now, in order for Sierra to sit there and be a little more cooperative, once again, um, because Sierra's like, oh, maybe they call Christian, maybe they call Evans or whatever. And, Ali fakes a phone call with Rafe and like, no. And, Rafe is on the phone like, no, we didn't catch him. He's still on the loose. You gotta sit and protect your baby. There's nothing that you can do here, and you gotta, this was Ben would want. So it's a little more docile, a little more easy to control to some extent. Now she does get there, and she's like, I want to sit there and talk to my mom. I want to talk to her. And, at this point, because Allie's like, well, the devil's like, why? Why do you want to? You know what? Whatever. Fine. I already faked one phone call. I can do another. Oh, well, look at this. We're in a cabin and there's no cell service. Well, so much for that. I feel like that's about it. And honestly, to tell you the truth, it would have been harder to sit there and fake a phone call with Hope because, well, the actress isn't exactly back yet, and she is going to be back with Bo, um, doing Beyond Salem season 2 with Steve Burns, and I'm just so excited for that. I still kind of kick myself a little bit for not finished watching the first Beyond Salem, but I'm definitely going to sit there and do my damnedest to sit there and watch the second season because I'm going to be honest, I did enjoy what I saw. I just wish it connected more. Well, I wish stuff would have been more relevant when it came towards, um, Dane's Days, the main series. Um, but again, I gotta sit there and say I did actually enjoy this episode, even though not that much happened. But and again, this oh my goodness, I hate to sit there and say, but this is once again where Days, you know, triumphs over GH. Because GH was just so. If you watch GH and you watch Days, you watch GH, you know what I'm talking about. Today's episode is just all over the place. It has so many different characters for little to no reason. I mean, I, you just had characters there that was just for fillers, and you had other characters there that was like the whole time. I'm like, what is Sonny doing? Like, okay, he has a thing with another guy. I guess it's going to be one of his little meetings or whatever. I want to see where that's going to go. Oh, we're not going to do that. We're just going to have him talk to Nina while he's conducting, you know, my business from behind the scenes. Because I kind of want to see what's going on there. And he just had other characters just there. In a lot of ways, I do kind of wish that GH was a little bit more like Days when it comes towards their the way that the amount of characters that they put on screen because it was just all over the place. At least with Days, it felt more focused, Even at first, because to be honest, Steve and Kayla didn't really do that much, but I did like the fact that Kayla was upset and saw in a lot of ways the holes in the storyline of her being fired in the first place, and then Craig coming in and Craig being like, "Oh, I'm gonna fire you. Oh, I'm not gonna fire you. Oh, what? I still get to keep my job, and she still gets to keep her job, but she's out of a job." Yeah. So I enjoyed it even just for that, even just in the seeing Kayla being pissed off, just being a human being. Um, yeah, with that being said, I think that's actually going to do it. I want to thank everyone for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video.